All right, it is 10:20.
Oh, wait a minute. Commissioner's talking to somebody. Are you okay to continue, Commissioner Trask? Okay. All right. Welcome back, everybody. We have come out of executive session, two separate ones for potential litigations. We are now moving into support services with Frank Pinter. Frank?
Thank you, Commissioners. The first item we have is Jennifer to discuss the March financial report.
Thank you, Frank. Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay.
This is my favorite part. I've been waiting for you.
Oh, good. Okay, so beginning on page 2 of the March financials for 2021, we have the comparison of current expense revenue comparing 2020 to 2021. We have so far collected through March $8,236,027 compared to last year. We collected $6,740,976, and we are at 21% of our budget. Collections compared to last year was 18%. We have collected about 1.5 million over last year, so that's great. Part of that is the internal allocation was collected this year earlier than last year. So that's about $370,000 roughly. So just wanted to explain that a little bit. So moving on to the treasurer's revenue, which accounts for about 600,000 more than what was collected last year. The property taxes are a big part of that. We've collected about 300,000 more than last year at this time. And that's due to mainly the letters going out about a week earlier than last year for property tax notices. The other thing that might be part of that is there was no tax foreclosure sale last year, and there is a planned tax foreclosure sale this year. So so that might be part of that over collection this year, or not over collection, but higher collection this year. Our sales tax is looking really good, continues to be over and above the previous year. We have collected 1.832 million as opposed to last year at 1.495 million. So that's good news. Any other questions on the treasurer's revenue?
Just on the revenue in general. So at the end of the year, we had different monies that were moving around because of the CARES Act monies and stuff like that. How did they ever get put away? And is any of this beneficial number, any of those dollars? Because they would have to go into one of the lines if it is.
So all of the CARES Act money was collected in 2020. And I don't remember exactly off the top of my head how much just went into cash.
Okay, so that's where it went, is into cash. So that's not going to show on here. So the 1% difference is, or the several percent difference, is actually a good thing. And we're doing good. 3%.
Yeah, we have not done our FEMA billing yet. So that money is still going to come in, and we're still working with FEMA on what's allowable and what's not. So so that will be.
Where do we have that allocated to go in this budget, or is it not? Are we going to have to do an amendment to take it in?
No, we don't need to do an amendment to take it in. If we have expenditures to expend out due to COVID, then we would possibly need to do an amendment there. Okay. But we did budget for, I think it was 150,000 in FEMA revenue, and I think it's going to be significantly higher than that. But I'll keep you posted on that as we get closer on that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So moving on to the expenditures on page 5 for current expense, we're at 23% of our budget. We've expended $9,495,069 as opposed to last year $9,010,618. And last year we were at 24% of our budget, but our expenditures are significantly budgeted higher at 40,683,000 as opposed to 38,045,000. So we've actually expended 485,000 more this year than last year. So questions on that?
We have the transfers out that are significantly less, though. That's
mainly due to the IT. We used to have that going out as a transfer, and it actually should be, we changed the bars line, so it's not a transfer out. That was done incorrectly in years past, so we corrected that.
okay.
And it comes out of non-departmental now. Moving on to page 6. Any other questions on that before I move on? Or anything on the expenditures? No. Okay, moving on to page 6, the 6-year specific revenue streams comparison. Almost everything continues to be up. We have the community development revenue, that's 155,000 higher at this point last year. And following up on February's financials, the question there on the detailed revenue, I believe DCD has briefed on their revenue and the detail of why it's higher between February and March's financials. So if you have follow-up questions, I can ask Kathy Chazé.
Just out of curiosity, do you remember what the revenues that we expected at this time, budget-wise, would be?
Community development. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Okay, that's all right. I'll find it later, just in case you knew.
Okay. The property tax, again, is about $300,000 higher at this point last year for current expense. The road diversion is about $85,000 less, and that's just because of the way that we move that money around for the revenue. Instead, we're doing the property tax levy shift for half of that amount. The sales tax, again, up 336,000 over last year. The rural sales and use tax fund, $31,700 higher this year versus last year. The homelessness prevention filings about $50,000 higher than last year. Lodging tax is surprisingly higher at this point than it was last year by about $24,000. And the REIT is about $140,000 higher this year than last year. So that just continues to.
And that can't be in the form of numbers. It has to be in the form of dollars per sale because there's not inventory.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any detail on that, but that would be my assumption also.
Is there any way that you could look in the past and see what it looked like when the real estate bubbles happened? How that was affected? Because I know we would have had the same issue in 2007 and 2006 where the prices were going up substantially higher than the sales.
I can see if I can find any information on that.
Thank you. I'm just wondering if we have to worry what it will look like if we're going to get a snapshot of what it may look like if something bad was to happen.
Okay. Okay, moving on to page 7, we have the sales tax by month, and again, we just continue to increase our sales tax revenue each month. We're at close to 337,000 higher overall in collections than at this point last year. We collected $105,000 more in March of this year than in March of last year. And if collections continue like they have, we are projected at about $7 million in revenue for 2021. So moving on to page 8, we have the 6-year financial recap. Our cash is at $14,933,979 in current expense. And that's where the CARES Act money would be sitting, is in that balance. We're at, again, 21% of our budgeted revenue versus 23% of our budgeted expenditures. Moving on to page 9, we have
And Jen, just a quick question, and if it's on another slide, I forget, I apologize, but those numbers, what do they reflect on the reserve side against our financial policy required reserve percentages?
So the operating reserve is at, I think that's at 25% of our previous year's expenditures. And then the contingency reserve is just a flat million. The technology replacement reserves, we've just kept that at 200,000. The equipment and vehicle replacement reserves, we've kept that at 525,000. The accrued leave reserve at 347,742. That is based on the prior 3-year average of what we've paid out for accrued leave. And then the unreserved cash is the difference.
So, like, for example, the 10,044,540, that's the operating reserve, that's equal to exactly 25%. We're not over, we're not under. That's,
I believe that's what it is. I'll double check that and see where I put that, because I think the reserve says 15 to 25%, something like that. So anyway, I'll check that out.
okay.
And get back to you on that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so moving on to the special fund cash balances. We are at $31,252,403 overall for all of the other funds other than current expense. And one that jumps out, the first one, the rural county sales and use tax, the .09 funds, that $450,000 transfer that we normally do to the Belfair Sewer Fund. We did it last year in 2020. We did that in March, I believe it was, or sometime before the end of March. And this year we have not done that transfer yet. So that is a big reason for the increase in the cash for this year. So we'll do that maybe by the end of April. I'll put in for that cash transfer. So anyway, just wanted to explain that. Are there any questions on this before we move on?
At some point in the future, could share with me or all of us at the time? I'd like to see what we have for unencumbered cash on some of these larger ones, just to see what there is actually out there that's floating for future potential projects or expenditures or items.
Okay, I'll work on that. Okay, moving on to page 10, we have the motor pool budget to actual expenditures. And we are at 27.34% of our total budget. And there's a couple of items on here that I wanted to point out. So facilities and grounds, they have taken on the vehicle that was ordered for the coroner. So they're at 58.51% of their budget. The original truck that was ordered for the coroner and didn't work for the coroner, facilities took that truck, so it's not budgeted there. So we'll be coming and asking for an amendment to the facilities budget for that. And where that did get budgeted for was under motor pool, and you can see motor pools at 12.89% of their total budget. So that's about $7,000, maybe a little bit more, that needs to be added to facilities to account for that vehicle. And then in the parks department, their fuel, I had grossly underestimated their fuel, and so that's the reason that they that their budget is so much that they're over budget. So I'll work with Ross on that and see what we can do if we want to put in for an amendment now or wait on that. So I'll get back to you on that. And then the sheriff, they're at 28.38% of their total budget, and that's mainly due to the upfront capital upfit costs. So that should start to kind of level out from here on out, but I'll keep an eye on that too.
Well, we're going to have continuing with that one anyway, because we have other ones that are coming in for there. That's where we're going to see that jump. That's the one that's moving, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And then down below, you can see again the motor pool lease. They're hugely, it looks like hugely over budget. But if you take the motor pool capital lease, it's at 0.82% of the budget. So if you average those two out, it's actually 114,000 is what we've expended for the lease portion this year. The total lease portion of the budget is about 559,000. So that's about 20.43% of the total lease budget. So we're right where we should be with that. So questions on this? Okay, so moving on to page 11, we have the special and other fund revenue. And this year we have collected $9,672,492 and $9,670,492. Last year we had collected $8,593,969, and we are at exactly 22% of our budget through March, which is where we were last year. So questions on that? Moving on to page 11, the special and other funds expenditures. We are at $10,545,023 this year versus $7,933,825 last year. We're at 20% this year and 16% last year, which could be due to a multitude of things, timing, grants, I don't know.
Nothing that you see standing out though, huh?
I haven't done a ton of analysis on this, but yeah, nothing's really standing out to me too much.
Well, community support services, there's a big number there. We wouldn't know why.
I think that
well, and the improvements on our capital facility is going to be, there you are.
Yeah, I think the capital facilities, that's going to be building 10.
Building 10, yeah. That's where the difference is.
Yeah, community services, health. I know they have a bunch of grants right now. County road, they might have some construction project going right now. I'm not really sure what's happening there.
It's so wonderful to see these right now when things are good. I hope you can keep smiling if things go bad.
I hope you guys do too. Okay. Any questions on any of this before we shut this one down? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jennifer. Ross, I didn't see you there previously. I know you need to move on. Would you come forward with your MCRA weekend closure?
All righty. Thank you very much. I'm sorry I was in the AAR that's up in the room ahead of us here. Sorry about that. Good morning, commissioners. What I would like to propose is a news release for MCRA for the weekend closure of May 1st and May 2nd, which is this upcoming weekend, for some weed control measures. As you know, we put in the new irrigation system that went in end of last year and into the beginning of this year. but that was paid for by RCO, which, by the way, we have just closed out that. Final report was accepted and final billing was also accepted. What we would like to do is do some yearly weed control measures. The outfields, toward the fencing areas of the outfields, they're pretty heavy with weeds. A lot of it happened due to the fact that most of this past year, we've had things dug up that could not be properly taken care of. And at this point, we need to do something to make sure that we keep everything looking as nice as possible and to get rid of some of the weeds that are out there. One of our staff members is certified in the chemicals that will be used. And what they are requesting is a weekend to do it. There is nobody scheduled for this weekend for tournaments, which we cannot have anyway, or any kind of games. So this was we're going to try to take the opportunity to have this little bit of a lull in the schedule to take advantage of it. So what we would like to put out is the following. Mason County will be temporarily closing the MCRA park located at 2100 East John Prairie's Road, Shelton, the weekend of Saturday, May 1st through Sunday, May 2nd, 2021, in order to provide a weed control treatment system on the 7 ball diamonds outfields and the interior park grounds. Due to these being chemical work being performed at MCRA, we are asking that you refrain from using the park during this project. Citizen safety is a top priority for the county, and we would appreciate compliance with the temporary park closure and ask all residents to avoid entering the park. No events have been scheduled on these days to assist the citizens' safety. For further information, please contact Mason County Parks and Trails office at 360-427-9670, extension 535. And we would like to put this out and put it onto the meeting for tomorrow, since we're going to have to kind of put a rush on this and also put it out on the websites and get some of our PIOs to put this information out.
Hey, Ross, is that going to give people enough notice?
It should, since we don't have anything scheduled. There's nothing really scheduled at all. So it would just be dropped by people.
Sounds good.
I'm good with it. The other thing I don't know when the journal's deadline is. I think it's this afternoon at 5. So, I mean, if you're trying to get into the journal, I would be fine with you at least submitting it by their deadline so that you can get it in there.
That's what I would like to do if we could. Yes. And then also hitting all the normal mass media sites that we have, social media sites.
Good.
All right, so everybody's good with it? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm back to my AAR, after action report. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Ross.
Thank you.
Next item is the Bank of America building. I was able to finally get in touch with the realtor that is handling that building, the Bank of America building downtown for the Bank of America. And my question to the board is Mason County interested in getting into discussions to find out how much the property is worth? Are they going to sell it? Are they not going to sell it? What are their intentions for that parcel?
Personally, I would like to move forward seeing what it is. We have a lot of different needs that we've talked about over the several years, and it'd be nice to know what the options are, and we don't know what the options are until we look and see what that is. Commissioner,
I'm good with you looking forward for looking into it. I think it's a good spot for some of the things that we are needing. So,
Commissioner Schutte?
Yeah, I'd like to learn a little bit more about the building and kick the tires, as it were.
So I will continue my conversation with the realtor and bring back information.
Can I ask that Commissioner Trask, that maybe you reach out to the city for obvious reasons why, to get their input through you, please?
I can do that. You think they might get cranky?
I think it'd be better if we had those discussions now rather than later. The cost of having those discussions later is in the multi-tens and tens of thousands. So, thank you.
Oh, no problem.
The next item is the reopening of the planned pandemic exposure control mitigation plan and policy. I forwarded to the board a copy of the policy, which is much shorter than what the previous version was, because extracted from the previous policy, we have separate the mitigation plan for the COVID recovery. A pandemic in the future might be completely different, and the plans to address it would be completely different than the one we have. So what we've done is, in anticipation or in preparation for putting forward the policy and the plan, we've separated the information on the two of those. We'd like to go forward and adopt the policy, and the plan we would just put into effect.
Questions or comments?
So
Frank,
great.
oh,
Oh, sorry.
sorry, Commissioner Trask, go for it.
I would just like to review it one more time before we vote on it.
Okay. I could bring it back again next week with the anticipation of possibly putting it on for the following action agenda.
Commissioner Schutte?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'm fine with that, but just wanted to be clear that the only changes we're pulling the COVID specific parts out. There were no other material changes to the policy itself.
No material changes. There was some wordsmithing, as well as some new information that's relevant to, quote, pandemics. The plan has had some change because we have current guidelines.
Sure.
And the plan addresses that by pointing the employees to the guidelines rather than trying to interpret or include into the plan the guidelines, which are constantly changing. So I'll bring it back again next week and then to discuss, to put it on the next action agenda.
Thank you.
Next item is the Support Services Director's recruitment status. Prothman would like to schedule a meeting with the board. My recommendation there would be to have it during our normal briefing for next Monday, or at a time convenient to the board, separate if the board so desires.
How do you feel about that, Commissioners? We've been a little light on our agendas. Do you think we can squeeze it in our regular Monday briefing?
I think so.
Yeah.
There you go, Frank.
I got it. Next item is the WDC board member terms and appointment. So the Chief Executive Officer of the Workforce Development Council came forward with a letter asking for, or notifying Mason County of the fact that one of the board members' term expires June 30th of this year. And that individual is Jennifer Berea, and they're asking the board to suggest or recommend a replacement. They have also identified or noticed that the existing board members can be voted in or can be put forward for 3 consecutive terms, and they would be they would endorse a renomination of Jennifer for a second term.
Has she expressed her desire?
I have not approached her at this point. I would if the board is considering making that recommendation.
Kevin?
Yeah, I'm supportive of that. I thought she brought this to our attention, thus indicating her willingness to continue serving, but.
No, it came from Kim Baker direct.
Oh, okay.
If we reach out to her and she is willing, are you supportive of reappointment?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Commissioner Trask?
I think she is willing and I absolutely support her reappointment.
Now, she is aware of it because she is on this email string.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard anything to the contrary, but I haven't heard an official, yes, I am.
Yeah, I think you better call her and just make sure before we tell somebody to do something.
I will. And that's it for us. Thank you.
Commissioners, any questions for staff?
Nope, not for me.
Nope, me either. Thank you very much, Frank.
Thank you.
One more topic, and that is the NACO membership.
That's commissioner discussion.
Right.
Let's take it right now. Go ahead, Commissioner Trask.
Right, so it looks like our annual dues for 2021 would be $1,141. They would also prorate it for the remainder of the year, but probably annual dues would be $1,141. I would support joining them. They have been instrumental in getting information out this year, and also information out on a legislation that at the federal level that affects the counties too. So to me, they've been a vital partner in the past year and a half.
And Commissioner Trask, you serve on as our representative on the state chapter of that. So we'll take this also as your recommendation as well.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, well, under your recommendation and the fact that I completely agree, this has been the one time where their value definitely came through without question. You'd have to be blind to have missed it this time around. I will be supportive of your request.
Thank you.
Commissioner,
Yep, I'm supportive.
there you go.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else for Frank? Then we are going to go ahead and move forward to community services with Dave Windom.
Hey, yeah, it's Dave. I think the only thing we have on our agenda today, Commissioners, is Marissa with a rezone.
Hi, Marissa.
Hi, Commissioners. Morning.
Morning.
I'm going to share a slide with you so we can get a little context of where the rezone is proposed for. 1 second. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So Community Development Department is bringing forth a rezone and hoping to get it on the May 11th action agenda to hopefully get approval to set a public hearing for June 8th. The rezone is for a parcel that is 10.75 acres. It is currently zoned neighborhood residential, and they are hoping to rezone it to mixed use. It is in the Shelton urban growth area. Little context, you see the city of Shelton there, and then our subject parcel is down there on the south, right at the border of the city of Shelton there. So this is the subject parcel, currently neighborhood residential. It's right next to general commercial zoning in the Shelton UGA. Then you have rural residential 5 zoning below it to the south and west.
So Dell's Feed and Farm Supply, the old building there, that's actually residentially zoned?
According to this, unless there's a map error that I don't know of, but it's showing that it's rural residential 5.
I've never asked this question. I was on the Plan Commission for 6 years, but is it appropriate to reach out to a property owner and ask them if they want to be included at the same time? Because that would
Included.
with the rezone.
I don't know if Kel's on. I don't.
That's mixed use, you're saying, compared to, hard to tell these colors. Is that general commercial?
So the red is general commercial.
Yeah.
And
So
then
there's no mixed use out there next to it?
there's no mixed use out next to it in this particular area, no.
For the hearing, if we decide to go that route, could you please supply me where the next mixed use zone is?
Yes, I could.
Purposes for that, because
I
I'm
could
not-
actually probably bring up the GIS mapping if you want to take a look. 1 second.
Boy, we get you on here and then a commissioner does this to you. My apologies.
That's fine. That's what briefings are for, right? So Shelton, UGA, 1 second. Here. Okay, so.
Do we have mixed use even down there?
1 second. Mixed use. Oh, Shelton zoning, that's what I need. 1 second. Mixed use is orange, so so it doesn't look like there is. It looks like, 1 second, this one might be. It looks like it's general commercial here
Yeah, and rural commercial around it, and
and rural commercial.
that's just an odd thing to ask.
And then mixed use, you can see over to the west, there's a whole block of mixed use
Yeah.
right on this edge of the city of Shelton. So the reason why they're asking for mixed use, the applicant is proposing a greens processing and retail business here in the very corner. And I'll bring that map back up. So they're proposing it right here in this corner here. So they'd be coming off the highway there and entering up in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, currently the neighborhood residential zoning doesn't allow for commercial, of course. So that's why they are proposing the mixed use, because it allows for retail with an accessory use of light industrial.
So do we know how much that would increase traffic?
So the SEPA that was sent out, I included the Washington State Department of Transportation, but I didn't receive any comments from them as of yet. So.
Well, did you attend the PAC meetings on this one?
Yes, the PAC made the recommendation on at their April 19th meeting to send it on to you guys.
Did anybody notice that it is not, they're asking for a use that's not adjacent to anything there?
That they're asking for
A change of rezone that is not adjacent to anything that touching this property. Usually when you do a rezone like style, so to speak, you have a transition area, you put something, you change the zone to be something like what's already around it.
yes. So, I mean, they did mention that about the dental office and the Dell's farm supply here. In that I believe there's a cannabis, I don't know if that's retail, around in this area as well. I do know that I believe there is another greens processing building that is to the east of the highway down this way. But yes, they're aware of what's surrounding that, and they still made the recommendation. The only thing, neighborhood residential, the requirement for that is that if you develop it out, it has to be at least 4 units per acre. With mixed use zoning for the Shelton UGA, that it's 4 to 12 units per residential acre. And so when they get to the building permit process, they will have to look at whatever they're proposing here. They have to make sure they're going to be able to develop. Future developments have to meet that residential density requirement.
Commissioners?
I'm good with adding it to, or putting it on for a hearing.
Yeah, same here. Just if you covered this, Marissa, I apologize for re-asking it, but does the city get to weigh in on this at all? Is there any?
So I did include them in the SEPA process as well. And Jason Dose asked some questions initially, but they never submitted formal comments on the SEPA.
Do we anticipate them submitting anything for the hearing, or should we try to circle back to them?
I can circle back to them. I was kind of surprised that they didn't submit any formal comments on this SEPA, but I did have a couple informal emails with him prior to that, just on questions about the proposed project. But I can keep them in the loop for the process with you guys.
Could you also reach out to DOT and make sure that we get something back from them? I know that road is busy, and the commercial that's on there now, sometimes we'll get a backup also. So if you could reach out to them as well, that would be great.
Okay, I will.
Marissa, I don't think this will rise to the level, but there's a possibility. Could you please look into the idea that creating this zone, there's a reason why you don't put certain things next to residential, of course. One of them in this situation may be odor or whatever. So I might guess that somebody may challenge this. So I'd like to make sure that this would not be considered, even by a stretch, spot zoning, to drop something completely different for a zone than anything else that's around it. Because why enter into litigation where we have a good possibility of losing if we can spot it now, which that's what I'm worried about when I'm looking at this. And maybe there may be another zone that it can connect with that can allow them to do what they want to do. But of course, we don't zone for the project. We zone regardless of the project, because once it's rezoned, they can do whatever is in that zone, period. Not ever do their project that they talked about the whole time. One has nothing to do with the other.
Yes. I will look into that.
Thank you. Other than that, it sounds like you have 3 votes to move forward to bring it to set a hearing date.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Marissa.
Thank you.
He's back.
He's back. just following along on my computer too. So commissioners, that's all I have. As you know, I will be out of town the rest of the week. So for issues relating to COVID, Alex is taking the lead on that. Lydia is working on the clinic piece. And then of course, Kel has things under control upstairs. So with that, that's about all I have for today. Commissioner, I just sent you some information.
Yep.
And I think we're ready to go for meetings this afternoon. So this afternoon we have the RIA 15 vote. And I think that's the last thing on this afternoon's agenda that concerned both of us, I think. So Let me double check. Yeah, and that's it. So we do have a code enforcement meeting this afternoon. We're going to be talking about some particularly difficult properties and talking about abatements. Since that's something we've not done in recent times, we're going through that process, making sure we have all of our ducks in a row with a couple of properties with houses that have actually fallen down. So what do we do about those? So that's this afternoon, and then I'll be out for the rest of the week.
Anything for Dave, guys?
Oh, another thing. We will be coming back to the commission next week for a planner for water planning. So a person in the office to do planning around water. We're going to do that with a sunset date on the position, probably 2 years, and look at how we rebuild water RIA plans going forward.
And hopefully Kel will be bringing us something soon to staffing requests so we can try and
Yep.
back in front of this.
Yep.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions or comments?
Yeah, I have two, one for Dave and one for Kel if she's on here. I'll start with Dave. So Dave, one of the things that I noticed in the notes from this morning's EOC call, and it's something that I think we're going to be running up against here from here on out vaccine wise, is starting to run into that vaccine hesitant group.
Mm-hmm.
And just curious as to what, our public health office is thinking, what Mason Health Peninsula is thinking, and then maybe even statewide, what's being discussed to address some of the vaccine hesitancy that we're going to start seeing.
So let me start with statewide and I'll work my way down.
Sure.
So statewide, we're seeing it everywhere with the exception of maybe some of the big urban counties. They're still trying to get through their initial lists. I think last I heard, Seattle, King County Public Health had a 200,000 person waiting list. So they'll be getting through that. Most of the other counties are in the same boat that Mason is, in that we're starting to see a real rapid reduction in those looking for vaccines. And we've done a pretty good job with the 65 and older group. We're looking actually really good there. I mean, Mason County is very thin, a couple of percentage points of everybody else in the state. We're doing a really good job there. Where we're having the difficulty is reaching the 20 to 40 population group. And the governor's office has challenged us to come up with some essentially marketing to go after that particular group. And so DOH is working with the counties to get some consistent marketing that would go out across the counties that would look at those groups. I talked a little bit this morning about the concept of psychographics. It's like demographics, only breaks it into smaller groups. So if you were to think of it as a high school group, think of it as, you have youth, but really are all the youth at the high school the same? No, they've got different groups. So how do you set your messaging to the different groups? And that's part of the concept we're working on here, and then with our state partners as well, is how do you get to those different groups, and really what do those groups look like? And we have the vaccine hesitant group that they're kind of like waiting for that final little bit of info or whatever encouragement to get over the hump and get their vaccine. But we have a sizable group that does not intend to get vaccinated. So I think we have to take that into account, that there's going to be a good percentage that this does not want to get vaccinated.
Has there been any research done at the state or national level about reasons for vaccine hesitancy? Has there been any data collected as on, what are your top reasons for not wanting to receive a vaccine? And is that sort of what's driving some of the approach to engage that group? Right.
So, there has been some done, and we get new studies coming out weekly. This has been a hot topic for a lot of universities to study this. A couple of things. mRNA vaccines are seen as new and really kind of groundbreaking, and people they don't want to be the first in line for something that's just totally new. Now, these vaccines aren't totally new. They've been around for actually going close to 2 decades, but have never been into production like this before. The Johnson & Johnson piece from 2 weeks ago really put a kink into that. Now, Johnson & Johnson has been reauthorized for use as of the 24th of this month. We can go ahead and use Johnson & Johnson, which is the single dose vaccine. And I think there were a lot of people waiting for just a single dose vaccine. Did not want to come in twice. Johnson & Johnson is more what you call traditional vaccine. So I think people were waiting for that. And I'm hoping that with the introduction of Johnson & Johnson back into the system, that we can bring some of those numbers up. Where I see it being particularly useful is in populations that are difficult to reach anyway. So if you're talking homebound or homeless groups or shelter groups of any kind, Johnson & Johnson is probably the best route to go with that. And we've been talking with our partners about doing those pop-up clinics into those smaller communities. We're not looking to do like a concierge type service where we'll go out and do 10 people at a social thing. Their club wants to get it, but we'll certainly look at groups that have a decent turnout. We can go out and do a single dose.
Dave, one of the things that I've heard out there, it's strange when you hear it over and over and over and over again. There are a lot of people that are still worried about it. They still question it. They're just not sure. And those that aren't sure look for a reason or an excuse. And one of the things I hear quite often is they believe in the term herd immunity. And they say, well, if they get theirs, then I don't have to get mine. Kind of like a piece of paper on the ground. As long as somebody's going to pick it up, I don't have to. But that's what I hear quite often out there. I'm surprised how many say, if they're doing it, why should I? I don't have to. So I don't know how you fix that.
Yeah, that's a difficult argument because it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy kind of a thing.
I've also heard that folks are hesitant to get their second shot. They may have gotten their first, but they're hesitant to get their second. So that at the state level, I know that that's a big issue as well.
Yeah, we haven't seen that so much here locally. What we are seeing, people are coming back to their second dose. We had very few, unless they went someplace else to get a second dose. So people are making their appointments and then not keeping them because they got a second dose somewhere else. So we're seeing some of that. We're also seeing a lot of population coming from King County that are coming for first dose, second dose, are coming from out of county. Mm-hmm. So I think people are trying to kind of expanding from that Seattle, King County area where they're having difficulty getting in. They're going as far away as Kittitas County to get vaccines.
I think also people need to keep in mind, my brother has medical issues where he can't get the vaccine. So we need to keep in mind that there are folks out there that can't get it. So let's not
endanger.
What's that?
Endanger those around us.
Right.
Yeah.
I would hate for my brother to die because he got a vaccine.
Yeah.
And so
in some ways, that's kind of our approach to the shut-ins. I mean, they're shut in, they're not coming out of their homes. So we need to vaccinate people who are going to their homes. So, and cocoon those folks.
All right. Anything else?
Not on that, but just a question for Kel. I think she's
hello, I'm here this morning.
They just wanted to get an update on where things were, in the permit center and how things were going. Any updates you can give us?
Yeah, we did get through our backlog of folks wanting to get an appointment, and there was quite a wait time just to find out when their appointment would be. We've gotten through that. I think now it's taking 1 to 2 days for us to get back to folks. We're seeing, I guess it varies anywhere from 5 to 10 requests per day. Of course, that's a 7-day per week ability to request a submittal appointment. We will be able to increase our appointments through May and then into June, and hope to get through that backlog. However, we do for the week of May 10th, we're going to have a bit of a decrease, not necessarily a decrease, but we can't increase that week because we're taking permit tech away for the lien process that we're going through that week. And that's pretty much the entire week of the 10th and possibly the following Monday. And then we're hoping, after we see reporting from that on how we could adjust our process over here after the lien process and what our findings are.
Super excited that you're going through the lean process. I think that that's going to help a lot. Now, I noticed that there's still quite a few people teleworking. How do you evaluate their time? How do you know that they're putting in the time that they're supposed to, like they would if they came to the office?
Just depending on what their tasks are and if they're being completed. So, I have planners that are continuing to telework, and they are required to be here on their day where they're considered on call, whether for walk-ins or for their phone. We call it a dilemma day, but it's basically a planner on call for the day. Otherwise, they are they have a choice on whether they want to work from home or from the office. And it's just a matter of, are they getting their permit reviews done in a timely manner? Are they staying ahead currently of the building department, which is where we see, the plan review on the building department side. That's where the holdup is right now. Once we hired that plans examiner, I'm happy to note, as of Friday, this is actually really exciting news. As of Friday, I got an acceptance offer letter from our new plans examiner. So it's Stephen Scott. He's worked here prior. He was our code enforcement person. He did have an interest back then of going into our building department, but we didn't have a position available at that time. He went off, worked for another jurisdiction, has had a couple years experience doing both plans examining, building inspections, has gotten some ICC certifications, and we are very excited to bring him back. I think he'll be a great addition to the building team. So once he'll be starting June 1st. I'm anticipating that once we get that building side fully staffed up, then we might see the planning side, the permitting review, where they're the ones that end up being kind of the last ones to sign off on the permit. We saw that back in 2006, 2007, when we did have that peak prior to the big recession. It was the planning department that ultimately was the last group to sign off. And that's really where it should be. It's just, how much timing. So until that, those teleworkers, that's all working out. The other folks who are not on the planning side, but are, whether it's plans examining, building inspections, or our permit center, even though we've had some childcare issues, everyone is going to be back in full time as of May 3rd.
Great, thank you.
That's really helpful information and great news about Stephen. It'll be good to have him back on the team. The clerical position that we put out for, have you had any interest, or have we filled that, or where are we at with that?
Matter of fact, I just sent over my forms to HR this morning. So I did last week. I got that back. I worked on getting those forms over and was able to send it over this morning. So hoping to get that posted. And in the past, we've had pretty good luck on getting a good pool of folks for that position. So I'm expecting the same this time around.
Great. And then as far as just, being able to set some goals or targets, is that something that would be more appropriate after the lien is completed, or do you have some framework in mind now that might go along with that?
I have been thinking about that, but I am waiting to see, once the lien process is completed and we get presumably a report or some findings from the auditor's office, looking at that and then kind of honing in on what looking at those targets and how we can, I guess, start working towards meeting goals, whether it's on a monthly or quarterly basis.
It might be even in the interim, and you might be doing this already, and if you are, I apologize, but in the interim and beyond, it might be helpful to just weekly or bi-weekly, share updates with OMB. I know you've been working with Olympia Master Builders on some of these issues, and just making sure that we're keeping those folks in the loop on what your group is doing and how we're working to address the issue. Might not always get agreement or even gratitude or understanding from those different organizations as you work through this, because it's a difficult thing. You're really up against it. But just being able to continue to provide information, I think, might at least help that conversation in the future.
Okay. Yep.
All right. Anything further? Then, okay. No. Okay. I thank you guys very much. We're going to go ahead and move on into Public Works with Loretta Swanson and team.
Oh. Good morning, Commissioner.
Morning.
Up close and personal. All right. First up this morning, we have a news release regarding some smoke testing up in the North Bay sewer system. And Richard can fill you in on that. We talked about this a little bit earlier, and you see the news release before you. Any particular questions about what it is that we've got planned here and the outcome of that testing?
Can you kind of explain why we're doing the testing or what it's going to look like?
I can do that. Well, why is because our system gets inundated with stormwater, who knows what kind of water that doesn't need to be treated. It's just excess water. It could be coming from a variety of sources, and we don't know. So we're trying to figure out where exactly are all of the issues that we have in front of us, and basically have a way of prioritizing what we need to fix, and then advising if we see something on the homeowner's side of the property there, to let them know that they have a potential issue at their house as well. So what we'll end up doing is I've got what they call a super smoker, and it's like a small lawnmower sized engine that fits into a manhole. We take the manhole cover off, we'll put that on there, and basically it's the solution that that we use to make the smoke is the equivalent to mineral oil. It will make a very white and very thick smoke for we can regulate that, and for however long it needs to take. It generally, these tests only take about 15 minutes to cover a 2-block area, and we'll have 2 people on the ground walking up and down the street, noting where smoke is coming from, and just basically categorizing what kind of a defect it is, so that we can address it.
Great, thank you.
So this obviously takes a lot of coordination, notification with the fire department, so they don't think we've got fires going on up in the Allen neck of the woods. We've got the news release. Richard's planned on putting together some postcards, I believe. We'll be doing door knocking. This really does take an intensive outreach effort to make sure that folks understand and are prepared for what we're planning.
Give me a heads up when you come out, just in case, because I'll probably get a lot of phone calls there.
Oh yeah, definitely. Everybody will know the day for sure that we're going out there.
Yeah. All right, what else you got?
All right, so next up, Commissioners, we did talk about this, so gosh, I want to say maybe a month or so ago, kind of a heads up that we've had some issues with the security system up here at Public Works, and long story short, it's basically unsupported software at this point. So our Kelly Metcalf has been working with Kelly Frazier, and identifying what potential solutions are and identifying potential compatibility with systems that are downtown as well, so that we've got some good understanding and resources for both. So what we're asking is to, with your approval, to proceed with procuring, awarding, and executing a contract to upgrade our facilities security system.
Anybody have any comments there?
Sounds
Yeah, has to be done. Okay.
All right. Thank you, commissioners. And next up, we also talked a little bit about this last week, and we are requesting approval to procure and execute an agreement for on-call services with an engineering firm to assist us with development review. And this will not be an ongoing effort, but simply to get us through a hump until we've got a new person on board and hired and up to speed to conduct these activities. And we're expecting this effort not to exceed $20,000 in the calendar year, and are seeking your approval to move forward on that.
Yep. I'm supportive. You've brought this to us in the past, and definitely nothing new on this one. I'm good. Commissioners?
sounds great.
Well.
Yep. Easy day, Loretta.
Okay, thank you, commissioners. All right, Mike's got a sole source purchase request for you now.
Good morning. Previously, we've let you know that Homer Adams culvert was deteriorated to the point that it needs to be replaced this year. So this is procuring the actual structure itself. This is a deep corrugated structural plate that's got a 30-foot span, and Contact is basically a sole source provider for this size of structure. So we need to move forward with this fairly quickly if we can. They let us know that if we ordered it within the next week or 2 weeks, still have to wait until August to receive it. So this thing has to be replaced, and this is the quickest way to go ahead and purchase that pipe.
What was the cost?
It'll be under $170,000.
Yeah. I'm supportive.
Same.
Same.
A lot of money for a pipe.
A lot
Okay.
of people killed in the requirement for the pipe.
Next up is replacing resolution. Basically, Commissioner, all we're doing here is we're changing the milepost of Old Belfair Highway. It was an error. It says 0.00 to 0.2 is the original one. It's actually from 0.2 to 0 or 1.20. So it's a mile of the road instead of just 0.2 of a mile. And then we corrected the project total, reducing it by $25,000. So we corrected the milepost and we reduced the cost.
So you're giving us that much more for that much less? Is that what I just heard?
Exactly.
Okay. Any problems, Commissioners?
None.
Nope, everybody's good.
Thank you. For discussion item, we just FYI, we had 4 applicants for consulting engineering for the Harstein Island Bridge. After our review, we recommend KPFF Consulting Engineers to perform the engineering design and plans and specs and estimates for the deck repair. As you have been probably told in the past, that over 38% of the deck has delaminations, which means it's broken its bond with the rebar underneath. And so we have this $3 million project to repair it.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Hey, Mike, real quick, maybe just a quickie on where we're at on bridge inspections and share with commissioners that you completed a, a trying few days on your bridge certification updates or training?
Yes, Fred Perryman was the bridge inspector here, and now I'm taking over those duties from previously doing in Pacific County. And it just happened at the same time. Every 5 years, you have to be recertified through FHWA and take a 3-day course and a test at the end, and that you're required to pass. So we did finally get through that with a lot of IT help with the connections here at the famous steel building here. But we've been starting into some of the bridges for inspection, and you know, I've been doing this since '95. I've been certified, so it's neat to get back into doing the bridge inspection, and all these bridges are new to me, so it makes it more interesting too. So.
Yeah, so what you see is interesting, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Brave new world. All right, last up, Richard's got a couple of items regarding our transfer stations, and this is kind of a follow-up on our status of the vouchers that we have for free dump day.
Yep, free dump day, day of caring with United Way. We're planning to roll them about the same way, both using voucher programs. That seemed to work well for the users, and it worked really well for us out there as well. Kevin has been in contact with Nicole from United Way, and they haven't got the dates nailed down yet. Their plan right now would be like from July 1st through September 30th. So they'll have a 90-day window, and they're planning on issuing about 300 vouchers. That's kind of where we're at right now.
And the idea, commissioners, is that rather than have one day where it's just a big mass of folks waiting in line, that we spread it out over a period of time so that it isn't so impactful on everyone else that's trying to get through and make use of the transfer station. And we're hoping that this will result in better participation also, that maybe the fact that it's a one-day shot is kind of discouraging, and maybe one of the reasons why we're not fully utilizing all of our vouchers. So
true story. That's what we're really trying to get at is really get utilization out of that program. And it helped last year. Like I said, the stories I've heard of the past were, I mean, we schedule this, it's always in the summer, it's super hot, and then people are stuck waiting in line for an hour to hour and a half. That it's not a friendly event for anybody real quick. So we're just trying to make it a lot more friendly for everybody, and hopefully that will encourage people to utilize it.
And please remember to try and get some of them to the commission.
Oh, you bet. I will definitely make sure that happens. Another thing, solid waste related, I just drove out to the transfer station this morning. Our new scale arrived on site. They're in the process. It's set off to the side. They're leveling it up. They plan to pour the concrete decks tomorrow. And then it's about a 4-week window to gotta wait for that concrete to cure before we can place it.
What are we doing with the old scale?
Right now it is being set off to the side, but the plan is really to dispose of it because it is on its last legs. And I mean, that's why we're getting rid of it. It's too much to maintain. But I'll tell you, we are looking into scale for Belfair, something that will fit in there. And that's yet more to come on that for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, Richard, my recollection was when we looked at rehabbing the existing scale, that it was darn near as expensive as purchase of the new scale.
Right. Especially something that will fit into the Belfair area, into that site, even if it'll have to be enlarged a little bit, I'm sure, but would be a much better deal.
I understand. Thank you.
You bet.
You have anything else for us, Loretta?
Just maybe a quickie legislative update. I see that in terms of the capital budget, we've got 500,000 for the Belfair Water Reclamation Facility. The freight corridor is in, scheduled out, pushed out a little bit in terms of implementation schedule. The bulk of the expenditures occurring in 23, 25, and then wrapping up 25, 27 biennium. The SR3 extension from Sweetwater Creek to 106 is not part of the budget any longer. I did see that there's $800,000 for a 302 corridor study to take a look at slide impacts and damage and figure out how to remediate that. So that remains in the capital budget.
On that, they're talking closer to the Pierce County side, right?
I believe it's the entire corridor, but I would need to double check that, Commissioner.
Yeah, we have a slide area on the way in.
Absolutely, right there in the Victor area itself, correct?
No, further down, but yeah, close enough.
Yeah. Yep. And then floodplains by design, I think y'all saw that the cutoff was just above the Skokomish project. So we're on the hunt on that to fill that gap, and we'll continue work in that arena. And I guess the only other thing that I have to add is just to share with commissioners that we keep pressing forward on getting up to speed and on board with community development and community services on the development review side of things. And Kel's got us roped into the LEAP process and plan to be active participants in that, and looking to make sure that we continue to more fully implement SmartGov, get on board on that, and just get our folks more plugged in.
That's awesome.
Okay, anybody got anything for Loretta? I got a couple little things, Loretta. Clifton Road, that NCAP update.
Yes. Mike got an update on that. I know that we went out and took a look at it, Commissioner. But in terms of the repair, Mike, do we have an update on the Clifton?
Yeah, what appears to be happening is when they're larger vehicles are trying to make that turn onto Clifton, they're damaging the curb. So at this point in time, we were talking about cutting that curb back a little bit from the Highway 3, and then putting a stripe down, a yellow stripe there, a wide yellow stripe there, to allow them to have that room to make that curve, and then kind of monitor that before we go putting the curb back, if we're just going to get it damaged.
Okay. But we're getting the rebar up and stuff.
Yep.
That's important.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, another thing, Loretta, if you don't mind, please, we had discussions years ago about the safe routes to school, and the superintendent at the time was not interested at all. The superintendent now is very interested. I know we had to do some adjustments at our county level to be able to accept those funds. Can you look at the requirements of what that is and what those opportunities might be again? It may be time to bring that forward in PRTPO, or through the commission or something.
Sure.
And I have some people that were talking about, I think they're talking about lights all the way from Larson Lake down to the end of Highway 3. That's not even realistic, but can you just take a look and see what we have for lighting on the corner of Larson Lake Road and Highway 3?
Okay.
Maybe a brightening or something like that we might be able to do.
Okay. Just in terms of street lighting, Commissioner?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
That's all I have.
Okay. The request for Collins Lake, I believe the speed trailers are going out today, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, anything else, commissioners?
Nope.
Then I thank you very much, Loretta, and staff. Have a great day.
All right. Thank you, commissioners.
Next up is commissioner discussions. Do we have commissioner discussion?
Nope.
I have one little request. I'm going to be unable to attend a meeting of the canvassing board, which is on the 6th and the 7th, 2 p.m. on the 6th and 7 on the 7th is 10 a.m. Is there either one of you able to take that on? Remember, it's about 15 minutes a time.
What time on the 7th, Commissioner?
The 7th is 10 a.m. for the final, and the longer one is on the 6th is 2 p.m.
I can.
I have a Public Works Board meeting all day Friday on the 7th.
I could probably do that.
Okay.
I'll work with Fina.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, and on the 6th, can either one of you do it on the 6th at 2 p.m.?
So I'm supposed to be getting my second vaccine on the 6th in the afternoon. I may be unavailable for that.
Nope, I get it. That's important. Now, we don't necessarily actually have to even be there, but it's nice to have a commissioner there if possible, because they already have.
Does it matter if it's like if Commissioner Trash goes on the 6th and I go on the 7th? Does that matter?
I don't think so. I don't think there's any issue with that at all. As a matter of fact, we may be able to send a staff member, because from the prosecuting attorney's office, that is how it's done.
And I have a COG meeting, and it's scheduled to start at 2 on Thursday.
Okay, and that's when this one is. Frank, are you available by chance on Thursday, 2 p.m.? I see he's unmuted.
Yes, I am.
Can you take that one for us? Are you there, Frank? I will work it out with Frank after.
So, Commissioner, just put me down tentative for that, and I'll confirm when my vaccine appointment is.
Okay.
And we'll work it that way.
Okay.
Commissioner Schutte, if you're not feeling well on Friday, I can probably step out of my Public Works meeting and go in. So.
And Frank just stepped in and gave me a thumbs up. If we need him, he is available on the Thursday. So any other commissioner discussion? All right, then I will see everybody tomorrow. Wait, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, hearing no objection, we are adjourned, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.
Thanks.
Have a good one.